Hey everyone, this is my first video. I've been so inspired by the different floss tube videos I've seen over the last few weeks. And I think it was Mackenzie from the Lovely Array who urged all the silent, I guess, lurkers to also, come forward and engage and shoot our own videos as well. So here it is. My name is Nancy, and I've been cross stitching for 2 years. Um, I, well, I won't say I've been cross stitching for 2 years now, but I learned to cross stitch about 6 years ago. And what happened was, at that time, um, I wasn't working. I was waiting for my permanent residency in Canada to be processed, and during that time, I wasn't allowed to work. So I was sitting at home, and being bored and broke. So I joined Free Cycle, and one lovely lady was giving away her mother's cross stitch. I think her mother passed away at that point. So I messaged her, took the bus down to her place, and she gave me two big bags of, floss. There was lots of DMC floss. There was some fabric. There were some patterns as well. And I was very happy because it was a lot. It was a lot of material she gave me. I found a pattern online, a free one by I think Passion Ricamo, which is one of his fairies that was done in one color. And I thought it would be simple enough. It's one color only, and all you have to do is follow a pretty simple chart. Obviously, I miscounted pretty badly, and after a while, I just abandoned the project and never finished it. And a little bit later, I thought, I'll give it a try again. And maybe, the first project was too boring. It was only one color, it wasn't challenging enough. So I went out and I bought a little DMC kit with one of those Japanese geishas. Maybe, I think it had an umbrella. It definitely had a blue dress or kimono. Started that, and I miscounted again horribly. Can't believe how bad it was, so I probably tossed it and never looked at it again. So all my cross stitch stuff was just put away in a corner and I didn't touch it until 2 years ago when I decided I was going to make something for my boyfriend. And he's an artist, he's a video game designer, and I know that he would have appreciated something handmade. And at that time, Game of Thrones was one of our favorite TV shows. We used to watch, we still watch it together. And so I decided to make him a cross stitch piece. It wouldn't be very expensive because all you need is some floss and some Ada fabric, and I decided to frame it myself. So I went online and I found a free chart. It's a series of bookmarks made by Black Lupin on DeviantArt. I'll see if I can show it to you. Oops. Here we go. Let's see if that's visible here. So originally the background was in different colors, and I don't know whether it was on red or black Ada, or whether the back was actually filled in. I decided to do it on one big piece of fabric, and I rearranged the different banners because I didn't really like the wolf being on the first one. It looked a little bit odd. So I originally only did 4. So let's go back to the finished piece here. The first one is the Baratheon banner, Ours is the Fury. Second one is the House of Stark, Winter is Coming. The third one is the Lannisters, Hear Me Roar. And the fourth one, my favorite, Fire and Blood for the Targaryens. So I finished all 4 of them. And then I realized when I measured it that it would not fit in a regular frame. I would have to get a custom frame. And I really didn't want to do that. So I still had some time left, and I had just enough fabric on the right hand side to add a fifth banner. So that's we do not sew from the gray joist. So I finished that, took it to the framers, actually took it to a craft store and tried to find a frame for it. And I quickly realized that the backing of commercial frames, it's about the same size as the entire frame. And obviously, I did not leave enough fabric, all around the edges to go around and lace it, because that's originally what I wanted to do. I believe on this side, I probably only have, about an inch of fabric left, and a backing board that goes at least another inch beyond it. So I looked around and I found some archival quality linen tape, and they use this specifically for hanging, for mounting artwork. So basically, what it is, it's this linen tape that has glue on it, and what you do is you make a little T crossing. So over here, I have a strip that goes like this to the backing, and then another strip that holds it down this way. So I've done that on all the ends, and that's how I was able to actually frame it into a, I don't know what the finished size is of the frame, but the cross stitch size is about 11 by 14, give or take. So frame that. I just also want to point out some issues with the chart. Obviously, I made a lot of counting mistakes. You can see it in the wolf. I won't even go into that. I mean, all the freaking little hair thingies, they all blend in anyways. But what I was really disappointed about is the lion. You see how there's like this really dark gold and then the light gold? Well, 3/4 through stitching this, I realized that one of the symbols in the key was wrong. One of the darker golds in here should have been a medium gold. And at that point, I really didn't have it in me to rip it all out and redo it, so I left it in there. So that's why the lion looks a little bit wonky, but yeah, it turns out okay in the end. And my favorite part of this is the lettering. I don't know if she designed the letters herself, but I just think they're beautiful. And I normally hate backstitching. So, but in this case, I can, it just makes the letters just so beautiful. I'm glad I did the backstitching. It's turned out really well. And I'll probably have to remember this alphabet for another project if I want to do it. I really like the letters here. Alright, so this is my first ever finished cross-stitch project. Boyfriend is very happy with it. It was hanging at his house for a while, and then his parents renovated the living room. They put it away in the basement, and we kind of I think we forgot about it, and we recently just got it back this weekend, so now it's hanging at our place. So that's it. I also want to quickly show you the floss I got from the lady. So there were 3 boxes of floss that were in the package, and they were full. So 2 of them, let me try to open this. This way? Oh, this way. 2 of them were full with DMC, and it was much fuller than this. Over the years, we've taken some of the floss out and not put it back. And here's another one with DMCs. And for a lot of them, she actually had multiple colors. And again, these were totally full. There was no space whatsoever in any of these slots. And then another one, the third one, was full of anchor floss. So this is really lovely. We use this floss when my boyfriend stitches too, and he likes to design his own projects. So, he'll just go through all the colors and try to match it. So that's the floss. I'll be honest though, I'm very grateful for the floss I received, but it must have been a little bit older, because when I compare it to a new skein of the same color. The color in here is a little bit off. It's a little bit more faded, and some of it looks a little bit fuzzy. And if I smell it, I can smell smoke in it. So I generally nowadays I don't like to use it for any of my bigger projects because I want to have fresh floss. Anyways, I'll just put this away. And the last thing I want to show you is my current WIP. I do have a lot of WIPs going on, but this is my latest one, and I only started it yesterday. So here is what I've done in one day. The pattern is from a Cross Stitch Collection magazine from 2008. It was issue number 160, and what it is, it's a tiger designed by Paul James. I think it's a beautiful tiger. It looks, very regal and relaxed at the same time, and it's kind of pose that my cat would have, even though it's a lot smaller than tiger. So it's been on my wish list to stitch ever since I think late last year when I found out about it. And finally, earlier this year, I had opportunity to visit a local needle store. It's called Gittas in Ontario, and we got a beautiful piece of gray Edinburgh linen for it. So that's 36 count. It's a bluish gray linen, and I've never stitched on linen before. This is my first time. I've stitched on even weave. So I'm already used to the over 2. The difference with linen is that, especially with this particular brand, is that the holes are a little bit smaller. They're closer together, and they're not quite as well defined as with the Charles Craft even weave that I used before. And as you can see here, right here, there is a little slub here where it's uneven. So sometimes it, as I was stitching this yesterday, it tripped me up sometimes because you'd be making a stitch over 2, but it would seem as if your stitch is like shorter, and that's because those some of the threads are closer together. But in the end, when you make the other side of the cross, it just evens out. So another thing I also want to point out here is I didn't grid for this one. Normally do grid, but I don't even know where to start gridding on even weave or on linen. I feel I probably just go draw on the wrong line or something, or the wrong thread, and then my grid would be all crooked. So the other thing also is I normally stitch in hand, but because this fabric is a lot softer than what I'm used to, I decided to put it on my Q-snap, and I must not know how to stretch it because this edge is now crooked. If you see here, it is the same line, so the stitches are correct, but it got stretched out, so it's not a straight line anymore. I'm hoping that that's gonna come out in the end when I wash it, or when it hits the water, it will just even out or something. Because I would really hate for my edge to be crooked. But going forward, I will just be stitching this in hand as I'm used to. Don't know if you can tell the difference, but for instance, all the brown on top here is stitched in the Q-snap, and this little bit down here, just underneath the tan color, these few lines, is stitched in hand. So I don't know if it's my imagination, but it might be a little bit, the stitches might be a little bit plumber when I'm stitching in hand. So we'll see how that goes. So that's one of my WIPs. And thank you for watching. Next time I'll show you some of my other finishes and my other WIPs as well. Happy stitching!